in 1950 and was remodeled one time since then. And we've done some work in here as a part of the elevator construction. You've seen that. The beverage center, the new doors, and this serving window wall were all redone at the time we did the elevator, simply because they were tearing up the same parts of the church to put in steps and elevators. And we said, look, get it dirty one time and be done with everything outside the wall of the kitchen itself. So that's why we tacked on some of the kitchen work with the elevator. It just made sense from a timing standpoint. What's left, there's actually not a lot of structural work in this job. The structural work that is left is the area behind Wayne, the old pot storage back in there. If you see the wall back here, the new tan wall that sort of comes over about 8 or 10 feet and then stops, this L-shaped wall will come down where Wayne is standing. And that brown wall will come all the way across. We'll actually tack on and come all the way across, and that will become a new janitor's can wash, and the water heater and all that will be back in there. So we're adding some more usable preparation space by eliminating most of that pot storage. That pot storage will get weeded out, and what doesn't get weeded, we've got other storage places that are within this space or nearby to get it out from underfoot and actually have more preparation space. PJ and Lisa Short and Adam Team are the kitchen construction crew, if you will, and they took the rest of this footprint and decided how best to use it for commercial or semi-commercial operation. First of all, you get rid of all the home appliances. The nice white home stove, the the freezers back there that are nicely donated to us, but we need commercial stuff. So that's one thing you do. You keep the stuff that's worth keeping. The gas range, clearly, the commercial refrigerator, a few other the sink sets are all good. So we're going to keep those and just reposition them, replace them according to them that makes more sense for kitchen use. What'll happen is we'll start at the floor and take up the tile. Thank goodness what hadn't already peeled up. We'll take up the tile, we'll take down the ceiling, we'll take the walls all the way back to the studs, all the cabinets and counterwork goes out of here, and we start over from bare studs and bare floor and come back up. We will update the wiring, we will update the above floor plumbing, the feeds and traps and stuff like that. We'll put in a new ceiling, new lighting. They're talking about doing away with a lot of the closed cabinetry that tends to just become another place where you put something out of sight and close the doors to hide it, and go into more of an open storage type of concept. They've got all the pieces and parts picked out from the commercial vendors of racks and cabinetry and whatever all they need, much like what you see that they've done here at the serving windows. And from there, basically, we'll just rebuild it and repurpose it, and they've got a layout that makes sense to folks who actually do this kind of work and can really accommodate the flow of a semi-commercial kitchen a lot better than what we've done in the past in here. So I'll answer any nuts and bolts questions about this. Like I said, not a lot of hard structural work in here. More a lot of the after framing type of stuff once you get a house dried in type of stuff. The flooring, the ceilings, the walls, wiring and plumbing.
What about this over here?
The pantry stays. The pantry stays and continues to be used as a pantry. When we built the elevator, we had to put in an equipment room to run the lift and the hydraulics for the elevator. We kept a little section of area off of that around the corner, and the kitchen folks are already using that as their occasional storage. Punch bowls, stuff like we use for the wedding or a reception or a funeral reception, anything like that. It gets put out of sight and out of the way, and they're going to continue that same effort. That's where the table of goods that are out there in the fellowship hall came from, is a beginning of the weeding process of things that are left around this kitchen that folks have used at one time but may not get used anymore. And on behalf of those fine folks, even if it's not yours, if you want it, take it. Okay? Because seriously, apparently nobody else is gonna claim it. There's something out there that needs to go home with you, take it right on. Nobody will mind. Okay? Yes.
Dishwashing.
Yes.
Will we have commercial dishwashing?
A Hobart machine.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Just where
great.
you put it in a tray.
So, like,
Yeah.
like,
Which would replace then this that you have to plug in and nobody really knows how to use it.
yeah.
Right. We will.
My second question, really, and probably Allison can answer.
Yeah.
You mentioned keeping a stove, but I thought that this was troublesome.
No, this is not troublesome.
Okay.
The white no longer works and needs
Yeah.
to go. And actually, of the 2 freezers that we have, the smaller white one that was donated to us recently keeps defrosting. The seal on the door is bad. And so we've lost lots of perishables, or, you know, lots of frozen
So
food that
this,
way.
I guess, I just thought that this was difficult to use because it was.
It's not difficult to use once you know how to use it. I mean, it's just a gas stove, so you do have to learn somewhat how to use it, but it's really not hard. You know, sometimes we've had to relight the pilot lights on the oven and things like that, but this is much better than, we used to have 2 of these white ovens, that's what we used to cook with, and that was awful. Because it couldn't hold our pots because of the eyes on the stove being too weak and things like that. But this is plenty strong to be able to do that.
I mean, I'm not advocating more money to be spent, but I just wondered whether.
This is fine. We probably need to clean up the hood and do something about the hood because it's fairly old. But the stove itself is fine and the refrigerator has been fine. Our biggest issue is really freezer space because one of the things we're trying to do now to save money for Wednesday night dinner is to buy from Cisco. And in order to do that, we need to be able to buy in bulk. And we're trying to even negotiate some more things for next year to be able to really pare down and buckle down on our expenses. And in order to do that, we really want to be buying for 2 months at a time. And if we're buying for 2 months at a time, we would really like to have trustworthy freezers. Because it's a shame when you have to throw bags of chicken away and things like that. The other thing I would add is that one other good reason to get rid of the cabinetry is all of the drawers stick and are very difficult to pull out. They really all stick.
Yeah, there we go.
And the cabinet.
And cabinets, some are missing handles, so it can be difficult to open the cabinets and just not worth the diddly squat.
What about the air conditioning or the air, cooling air?
We're looking at the possibility of putting a small central unit in here instead of windows at this same time. That's still up in the air, so to speak, as to how that can work out. But that's one of the things we'll be looking at to see if we can make that happen at the same time. A couple of tons of air is all this room needs, especially now that you can isolate it, hallway doors, and keep it trapped in here during the preparation time. There will be a fire suppression system that has to go in the hood. That's required by current code. We want to be up with that because.
Well, the thing is once you do start doing construction of the kitchen, you do have to come up to code because we have to meet the health department code.
And that's something we want to do. We should be doing.
Yeah.
What else?
The walls.
What's wrong with them? Is that not normal?
Are just of concern.
And that's simply because it's a basement, quite honestly. When A.J. Hewitt built this part of the church in 1950, he tried to tell the church, don't put a basement in. You'll be sorry, and his words are right. We're sorry in the sense that the space is great, but you have all the problems you have when you have a building underground. You have to fight the water constantly. And that's been an issue in this room, as it has in all of the lower space, ever since they put it in. But it is what we have, so we're going to make the best of it and make it work as best we can. That's why we're going all the way back to the studs, just to start over clean and see if we can't get some more life out of it. What else about the kitchen? Anything? Well, let's retire to the chapel.